movement with the Jungle Safari team began with the usual optimism to witness the large games of the national park. The narrow pathway leads us deep into the forest. The man on the wheels ensured a smooth drive. There was caution prescribed. Sanctity of the park is not to be disturbed. This is a special visit arranged to have a quick whereabouts of the park. Further journeys deep into the forest continues as we seek to catch a glimpse of the large games. Patience tested, we settle down for a normal excursion. Our drive continued for a while within the deep precincts of the national park. As we endured the rugged travel, our waiting is rewarded all of a sudden. This was one view which we were all waiting for. Right in our midst moved the majestic one-horned rhino. The view to the naked eye gave an air of distance. But the quick focus by a lensman brought out the grand presence of the animal in all its impressive features. We couldn't have asked for a better view. Awed by the presence of the majestic species, we have a close look at the imposing features. We were told that this park is the only stronghold of rhinoceroses on the north bank of the Brahmaputra River. The population of the great Indian rhinoceros, known scientifically as the Rhinoceros unicornis, is estimated at 101 individuals in this national park, as per census carried out by the Forest Department in 2020. As we moved along, a veritable treasure trove of flora and fauna appeared in front of our eyes. We could spot the critically endangered pygmy hog, the majestic Asian elephant, and yes, suddenly, the Royal Bengal tiger appeared, which simply ambled along from a distance, least bothered about our presence. Well, that's it. Can't keep the mystery shrouded anymore about this place. Welcome to the Orang National Park. The tall grasslands are ruffled. The hog deer scurries away. The spraying brightness of the omnipresent sun plays hide and seek as we chug along. Orang National Park is a swampy, wooded area. It was inhabited by Orang people who probably deserted it upon being affected by disease. There are 26 man-made ponds here, substantiating the belief that this region was once home to a particular community. The land here tells a glorious tale of having survived the ravages of time. Situated in the Darang and Sonitpur districts of Assam, the Orang National Park is spread across 78.81 square kilometer of land and has an interesting historical tale of how it was formed. What began as a land abandoned by the tribes due to the spread of an epidemic has now transformed into a place that even provides shelter to the rare one-horned rhinoceros and the critically endangered pygmy hog. The national park is surrounded by the Brahmaputra River on the north. Many believed to be man-made water bodies can be found inside the park, which are thought of as remains of the old tribe that left ages ago. The park now boasts of a beautiful landscape that attracts tourists from all over.
हमारा ये राजीव गांधी ओरांग नेशनल पार्क साल में वो नवंबर अक्टूबर माह में शुरू होता है, स्टार्टिंग होता है, वो मई तक चलता है, अप्रैल मई में चलता है जी। इधर हमारा इधर में बेसिकली राइनो है, एलिफेंट है और टाइगर है। बेसिकली माने टाइगर चाबर कारण बहुत मानुह आए, फरेनार आए, प्लस आमार जिखिनि लोकेल टूरिस्ट आछे लोकेल टूरिस्ट आए। इंडियार आमार गोटे भारतबर्षरे मानुह प्राय इते आए, जंतु चाबर कारण आए, आहि बहुत माइंडेली बहुत सेटिस्फाई हय आरु बाघ देखिबोलै पाय, गड़ देखिबोलै पाय, हातीर जाक देखिबोलै पाय, बहुतखिनि चाबोलै पाय। आरु आमार जितु परिभ्रमी चराई प्राय डिसेम्बर माहर পৰা फेब्रुवारी मार्चলৈকে इते परिभ्रमी चराई आए। ইয়াতে आमार परिभ्रमी चराई चाबर कारण बहुतखिनि मानुह आए, ইয়াত आहि देखा पाय आरु ভাল पाय।
There is a huge resurgence of local tourism because the share of local people coming to the national parks and all has increased very much because they also want to move out from their place and have a better experience.
The calmness of the serene sky above us gets slightly interrupted by our movement on the ground. As we moved on, the narrow route on both sides gave way to lush greenery. In terms of its geographical specifications, the Orang National Park, encompassing an area of 78.81 square kilometers, lies on the north bank of the Brahmaputra, delimited between 26.483 degrees north, 92.266 degrees east, and 26.666 degrees north and 92.45 degrees east, within the districts of Darang and Sonitpur. Pakhnoi River, Belsiri River and Dhanshiri River border the park and join the Brahmaputra River. During the monsoon, the park becomes a veritable floodplain with many streams overlapping each other. These floodplains constitute 12 wetlands in the park, apart from the 26 man-made water bodies. The park is thus formed of alluvial floodplains of the many rivers and is an integral part of the Indo-Burma biodiversity hotspot. The total area of the park has been categorized into Eastern Himalayan moist deciduous forest, of about 15.85 square kilometers, eastern seasonal swamp forest of about 3.28 square kilometers, eastern wet alluvial grassland of about 8.33 square kilometers, savanna grassland of about 18.17 square kilometers, degraded grassland of about 10.36 square kilometers, water body of about 6.13 square kilometers, moist sandy area of about 2.66 square kilometers, and dry sandy area of about 4.02 square kilometers. It has a fairly flat terrain tending north to south with a gentle slope. The elevation in the park varies from 45 meters or 148 feet to 70 meters or 230 feet. It is bounded on the south and east by islands and spill channels of the river. But the flat alluvial land is seen distinctly as two terraces. The lower terrace is of recent origin on the bank of the Brahmaputra River, and the other is the upper terrace to the north, separated by high bank running through the park. The whole park is encircled by inhabited villages, thus subjecting it to biotic pressure.
One thing I have been managing this year for the past 1.5 years, and my experience says that Orang National Park is a floodplain of Brahmaputra River, and like any floodplain of Brahmaputra River, this is vulnerable to erosions and depositions. And but the legal boundary of Orang National Park is rigid and fixed on the map. So and Orang National Park is 79.28 square kilometer. Losing 10 square kilometer of land within this particular legal boundary is also an issue for us. So one thing which we think is like one major issue which we have to address for the future is we have to increase the legal boundary of the park into the riverine area of Brahmaputra, so that if there is a deposition, that particular land will become rich for wild animals to move on to. So currently there is not much land available for them to move on to if there is some kind of a loss of land within the legal boundary.
Orang National Park is situated amidst dense forests with tall trees and highland grasses, and is the perfect place to stay in for those who are looking for rejuvenation from the hustle and bustle of city life. The park is well connected by road, rail and air links with nearby towns in Assam. The nearest town is Tezpur at a distance of 64 kilometers from the park. Guwahati is about 109 kilometers from the park. It is 15 kilometers off the national highway near Orang town, Dhansirimukh, which is the nearest village, that is a further 12 kilometers away. Dhansirimukh is 127 kilometers away from Guwahati. The nearest railhead is Salonibari and Rangapara. Both Tezpur and Guwahati are connected very well by the rail network of India. March and April is the best season to visit the park. Visiting is restricted to 7:30 to 9:30 am and 2 to 3 pm. The park gate remains closed in between. However, advance authorization of the Divisional Forest Officer Mongoldoi is essential to visit the park.
I hope that visitation to the park increases in the coming days, and also we will use all possible media to make sure that there is such a beautiful park existing on the north bank of Assam, and it is just 2.5 hours away from Guwahati. And I would also like to say that a new beautiful road is being constructed, so which would even reduce the time to reach this place. So in this way, I hope many people will take so many beautiful memories from this park and the experiences.
Orang Park contains significant breeding populations of several mammalian species. Apart from the great Indian one-horned rhinoceros, which is the dominant species of the national park, the other key species sharing the habitat are the Royal Bengal tiger, Asiatic elephant, pygmy hog, hog deer, the wild boar.
We are satisfied with the present state of numbers. And with respect to rhinos, we have 101 rhinos in this park. With respect to tigers, we have 28 adult tigers and 5 cubs which have been identified this year in our annual survey. That is through camera trapping. And we also do a survey to estimate the number of deer in the park. So we have got 6,000 plus deers in this park. And it is because of this 6,000 plus deers, so many tigers are sustained in a small area. So as such, it is a blissful park in abundance of animals.
Bengal florican, a threatened species conserved in the park, is the most visible bird in the national park. The park is home to a variety of migratory birds, water birds, predators, scavengers, and game birds. The avifauna population is also quite rich, with the reported sighting of more than 200 species. The Bengal florican, spot-billed pelican, black-necked stork, greater adjutant stork, lesser adjutant stork, woolly-necked stork, ruddy shelduck are to be seen here. But Bengal florican, which is in the threatened list of IUCN, is one of the flagship species in the park, with a population of 30 to 40, recorded second highest concentration as per Bombay Natural History Species, and is in the threatened list of IUCN. Migratory birds as far as from America, such as the Milky American white pelicans, have also been reported in the park.
With respect to the birds, there are both categories of birds are very rich here. One, the waterfowls, as many people are aware of them, and we have terrestrial birds also. A total of there are different kinds of reports. Like a total of 234 species have been identified here, and there are some people who even say that there are 284 species reported here, but we go by the number 234 as they are observed by the department too. And in that, a majority of them are waterfowls, which come during the wintering months. And the Brahmaputra is a major habitat for them. The water bodies, the wetlands within the park do support them, but the major habitat which they prefer is the Brahmaputra landscape.
The park has a rich vegetation of forests, natural forest, non-aquatic grass and plants. The forest species found are Bombax ceiba, Dalbergia sisu, Sterculia villosa, Trevia nudiflora, Ziziphus jujuba, and Litzea polyantha. Among the non-aquatic grassland species, the prominent are Phragmites carca, Arundo donax, Imperita cylindrica, and Saccharum sep. The aquatic grass plants species found are Andropogon, Ipomoea reptans, Anhydra fluctans, Nymphea spp, and water hyacinth. From 1991, there was a serious threat to the survival of the park and its wild animals due to intense anthropogenic pressure. The threats were identified as due to poaching, inadequate manpower for patrolling and security, wide river channels, inadequate infrastructure facilities, and hardly any community awareness and participation in conservation.
Like many other national parks, this park also has challenges, and one of the major challenges is poaching pressure. And rhino poaching is known to everyone. Like it is a constant pressure, which whenever you don't see any poaching happening, but still there might be some planning happening behind. So this park faces rhino poaching pressure.
Poaching for wild animals became very serious, particularly of the great Indian rhinoceros, whose population reduced to 48 vis-a-vis 97 rhinoceroses in 1991. By undertaking anti-poaching measures, its number had increased to 68 in 2006-07. The rhino population recorded 101 animals at present in 2020. WWF and Government of India, under the project titled Rhino Vision India (RVI), have also plans to enhance the number of rhinoceroses in the park to 300 by 2025. Greater one-horned rhinos are thriving in Orang National Park in Assam, India, thanks to protection and habitat management efforts that have been implemented by a diverse group of partners. The International Rhino Foundation and Zoo Basel have partnered with Orang's forestry officials as well as local and national government officials to strengthen protection and monitoring activities. As a result, no rhinos in Orang have been killed by poachers for the last 3 years.
सर एक चीज तो सभी लोग बोलते हैं कि जो वन हॉर्न्ड राइनो जो नॉर्थ बैंक का जो सक्सेस स्टोरी है ये तो ओरंग में ही हुआ है, तो इसका जो सक्सेस स्टोरी है इसको तो सस्टेन करना है। एक चीज तो बहुत ही अच्छा है कि 2017 के बाद कोई पोचिंग यहाँ पे नहीं हुआ, तो आपको क्या लगता है इसको कैसे सस्टेन करेंगे?
देखिए, हम लोग का कोशिश जारी है कि हमारा प्राइड है राइनो। असम में जितना वन हॉर्न राइनो मिलता है शायद कोई जगह पे नहीं, पूरा वर्ल्ड में इसका एक नाम है। तो इसमें हम लोग का कोशिश रहा और हम लोग सक्सेसफुल भी हुआ। आप लोग का जानकारी में शायद है कि लास्ट ईयर कोई पोचिंग नहीं हुआ। पहले हम लोग आने का बाद ही फास्ट ट्रैक कोर्ट बनाया। कन्विक्शन तो पहले हुआ नहीं था, मगर हमारा सरकार आने के बाद 6 केस का कन्विक्शन हुआ। हमारा विजिलेंस बढ़ा, बहुत सारे हम लोग साइंटिफिक इक्विपमेंट लेके ही हम लोग शुरुआत किया है वो काम कि हमारा जो बायोडाइवर्सिटी है वो बायोडाइवर्सिटी सुरक्षित रखने के लिए हम लोग का कोशिश जारी रहना है और कोशिश ज्यादा ढंग से जोर लगा के करना है। हम लोग कर रहा हूँ।
The rhino population has grown to 101 from 68 counted in 2006 census. The success has led to the park to be called the Little Kaziranga in reference to Kaziranga National Park, which holds the largest population of greater one-horned rhinos in India. The wetlands are a stronghold for rhinos, and they thrive with an abundance of food. Protection and habitat management, including the control of invasive species, have ensured the population continues to grow. In 2017, a key protection investment was made through a grant from Zoo Basel and IRF. The funding was used to purchase additional vehicles and a high-speed speedboat to patrol both land and water. The continued recovery of the greater one-horned rhinos in India is a direct result of the coordination of local and national government coordination, setting a strong example for the world in protecting wildlife. The activities in Orang demonstrate that with strict protections and smart habitat management, ecosystems can recover and wildlife will thrive. Orang can serve as a model as additional habitat is established for the greater one-horned rhino's continued population growth. In spite of the numerous challenges faced, the staff of Orang National Park, who have been rendering dedicated service for conserving the park, have registered achievement in increasing population of one-horned rhinos in the park. Mention may be made that the Orang National Park, with an area of 78.82 square kilometers, is the only habitat of endangered species of one-horned rhinos on the northern bank of the Brahmaputra, which is situated at a distance of 130 kilometers from Guwahati by road. Of the total 17 blocks, the highest number of rhino population of 27 counted in the Sat Simalu block, followed by 11 in the Molamari block. The first rhino census was carried out in the park in the year 1985, where a total of 67 rhinos were sighted as per the official records. However, the park witnessed the highest number of one-horned rhinos in the year 1991, as the enumerators cited a total of 98 animals as per the available official records. What is significant in the field of conservation of the one-horned rhinos in the park is that though a total number of 68 rhinos were counted in the year 2006, at the same time a total of 11 rhinos were killed by armed poachers during the period from 2006 to March 2009, while 17 rhinos died natural deaths. In view of the death of 28 rhinos during this period, all feared that the rhino population would come down below 50. But bringing smiles into the faces of every staff member and wildlife activist, the rhino population recorded 101 animals at present in 2020, which is a positive sign for this protected area. In fact, the biggest positive news that emerged from the park is that in the last 4 years, not a single poaching has taken place. National Park is an area which is strictly reserved for the betterment of the wildlife and biodiversity, and where activities like development, forestry, poaching, hunting and grazing on cultivation are not permitted. Their boundaries are well marked and circumscribed. Living up to this spirit, Orang National Park has lived up to this expectation.
I would like to say that for the past 4 years there has been no poaching in this park, and all the credit has to be given to the Assam government, our minister and our department, and the police department especially, who are supporting us in managing these things. And there is one more poaching pressure. Rhino poaching is one category, but there is another poaching pressure called, there is a fish here called Channa Barka, and it is a very lesser known fish to many people, but that fish is used in ornamental purpose, and it has a great market in Europe as well as US. So because of these things, the locals here trespass into the park, especially during the season of monsoon, because it is available only during that time, and to poach that fish from the beels, and it is very lucrative for the people around. And because of this, we have a kind of a people's movement into the park. It is not very organized kind of a thing at the ground level, but it is organized in terms of a supply chain. So to curb that, we are taking all our due care. Like, we have ensured that there is proper solar fencing wherever it is needed, and we are increasing our surveillance in these particular areas to make sure that we know at least if someone trespasses the area, we will be aware of it. We at least do the due investigation to make sure that the such thing doesn't happen in future.
In a major boost to tiger conservation in northeast India and Assam in particular, Orang National Park has been declared a tiger reserve, making it the 4th of its kind in the state and 49th in the country. Wildlife conservationists who have long been demanding this in order to protect the big cat in Orang and in the forest corridor that connects it to the better-known Kaziranga Reserve, hailed the decision. Located on the north bank of the Brahmaputra, Orang is often called the mini Kaziranga due to a similar landscape and rich population of the one-horned rhino. Its tiger population, estimated at 28, is equally healthy. Experts say the big cat often swims from one riverine island on the Brahmaputra to another and gets to Kaziranga on the southern bank. The big advantage of the decision of Orang being declared a tiger reserve is that the Kaziranga-Orang riverine landscape is now fully protected 1,100 square kilometers area from the east of Kaziranga to the west of Orang, which is now the single largest protected area with a tiger habitation in Assam. Protecting the area that often turns into a wetland has other big benefits. It stores water during the dry non-monsoon months and releases it slowly for use downstream at a time when the water flow in the Brahmaputra is otherwise low. The connection between the two national parks is through river islands and grasslands. Further, this continuous landscape also includes Burachapori and Lakoa wildlife sanctuaries, which are also tiger habitats. In 2015, the National Tiger Conservation Authority (NTCA) gave its nod to declaring 492.46 square kilometer of Orang as a tiger reserve. Of this, 79.28 square kilometers is the core area and the rest the buffer of the reserve. From being declared a wildlife sanctuary in 1985 to a national park in 1999 to this final notification, Orang has come a long way. It now enjoys equal status with Kaziranga, Nameri and Manas tiger reserves. National parks spread all over the vast landscape of the country have stood out strongly in our efforts towards nature conservation. Many of them, with their bounty of flora and fauna, are success stories of environmental conservation, and Orang National Park is no exception. The conservation efforts in the state of Assam is guided by a comprehensive policy backed by a tangible action on the ground. Leading from the front, the Minister of Environment and Forest, Parimal Shuklabaidya, an excellent team has been put in place for activating efforts in sustaining the conservation efforts initiated over the last 5 years, and that which have paid rich dividends in protecting the faunal population, especially the one-horned rhino and the Bengal tiger. Regular visits to the park by the minister himself, constant interactions with the forest personnel deployed on the ground, keeping the forces motivated in the face of inadequate infrastructure and challenging work environment have all worked in tandem to fetch the desired results.
सबसे बड़ा बात है कि हमारा यहाँ पे जो फॉरेस्ट गार्ड पगड़ा से शुरू होता है अप टू डीएफओ लेवल तक, इन लोग कोशिश करता है कि ये जो उड़ान को या जो कोई नेशनल पार्क को अच्छा बनाने के लिए कंजर्वेशन सबसे बड़ा जरूरी बात होता है। हमारा उड़ान छोटा सा पार्क है, इसलिए मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि ये सबसे छोटा है। इधर में 79.86 किलोमीटर है, इन एंड अराउंड 80 स्क्वायर किलोमीटर है, मगर इसमें आपका बहुत सारे जंतु जानवर दिखाई में आएगा। ये टाइगर रिजर्व भी है, साथ ही साथ इसमें हाथी से लेकर हमारा धर लीजिए असम में जो मिलता है तो हर किस्म का जो वाइल्ड लाइफ है इधर में मिलता है। बहुत सारे फ्लोरा एंड फौना यहाँ में है। तो हम लोग का कोशिश है कि उड़ान एक दिन पूरा इंडिया में एक अच्छा जो पार्क बनने का जो इरादा लेके काम कर रहा है वो सक्सेसफुल हो।
Since Royal Bengal tigers are also under serious threat in the park, a conservation program sponsored by WAZA, World Association of Zoos and Aquariums, institutions and bush gardens has been launched. It is a closely managed tiger program called the Species Survival Plan (SSP) with the objective to improve the genetic diversity of managed animal populations. Under this program, the project titled Ecological monitoring of wild tigers in Orang National Park, Assam, India, has been launched in association with Aranyak, a non-governmental organization in India. With this funding, camera traps and geospatial technology are used by local researchers to monitor tiger density in the park. Community participation to help manage, mitigate and prevent conflict between humans and tigers is also envisaged.
देखिए, इंस्टीट्यूशनली हम लोग एक हद तक जा पाऊंगा, मगर कम्युनिटी जब तक जुड़ेगा नहीं आपसे, तब आपका ये सही नहीं होगा। तो इसलिए हम लोग भी जो JFMC वगैरह है, इन लोग को स्ट्रेंथनिंग किया हम लोग, और साथ ही साथ हम लोग कोशिश किया कि जैसे अगल बगल का जितना है पब्लिक रिलेशन जैसे बढ़े। और आज का दिन में ये बात आपको बोल सकता हूँ कि हमारा असम का जितना धर लीजिए रिपोर्टर लोग है या बहुत सारे NGO है, इन लोग हमको बहुत सारे जगह पे हेल्प करता है। आज पोचिंग का बात जब आता है, देखिए हमारा लिमिटेड स्टाफ है, खबर तो नहीं आता है, तो इन्फॉर्मेशन नहीं आता है, तो कोई ना कोई जगह पे हमारा जो है हमारा जो रिपोर्टर लोग है या NGO है या पब्लिक है, इन लोग हमको खबर देता है, और ये खबर लेके ही कोई ना कोई जगह पे हम लोग सक्सेसफुल होता हूँ। तो इसलिए मैं आज का दिन पे आपको बोल सकता हूँ कि अभी बहुत अलर्ट है हमारा पब्लिक बहुत अलर्ट है, और हमको बहुत सारे इन्फॉर्मेशन ऐसे मिल जाता है। हमारा कोशिश भी है, फॉरेस्ट का, पुलिस का, हर आदमी का कोशिश है कि हम लोग इकट्ठा होकर जैसे ये पोचिंग बंद करें।
सर, लास्टली टू वाइंड इट अप, एक चीज़ बताइए, फॉरेस्ट एंड एनवायरनमेंट का कंजर्वेशन के लिए, फॉरेस्ट एंड एनवायरनमेंट को बूस्ट करने के लिए असम सरकार क्या क्या कर रहा है? लास्ट
देखिए, हमारा फॉरेस्ट का सबसे बड़ा प्रॉपर्टी होता है पेड़ पौधा, उसका साथ ही साथ आता है हमारा वाइल्ड एनिमल। तो ये पेड़ पौधा जैसे इधर में पहले तो था, असम का जो एनवायरनमेंट पहले बहुत अच्छा था, आपका जानकारी है। लास्ट ईयर हम लोग हर डिस्ट्रिक्ट में, हम तो 26 कंप्लीट किया था लास्ट ईयर, हर डिस्ट्रिक्ट में हमने 1000 डिफरेंट स्पीसीज को हमने एक पार्क का अंदर लगाया कैंपा का माध्यम से। तो इसमें क्या हुआ कि कंजर्वेशन का जितना स्पीसीज है वो कंजर्व हो गया, पहला बात है। 5 साल में हम लोग 10 करोड़ से ज्यादा हम लोग प्लांटेशन किया लास्ट 5 इयर्स में। इस बार हम लोग इससे भी ज्यादा एक कोशिश में हूँ। फ्रेंच प्रोजेक्ट में इस बार पहला बार हम लोग जो प्लांटेशन का वो प्लानिंग शुरू किया, इसका भी काम शुरुआत होने वाला है। और साथ ही साथ देखिए, वाइल्ड लाइफ के बारे में मैं बोल सकता हूँ आपको कि इस बार भी हमारा इंडिया का टाइगर प्रोजेक्ट शायद 51 है, इसमें 7 सिलेक्ट हुआ। अच्छा, इसमें 4 हमारा है। लास्ट ईयर मानस टाइगर कंजर्वेशन में इंटरनेशनल अवार्ड मिला लास्ट ईयर। तो कंजर्वेशन का दृष्टिकोण से बोलने से हमारा धर लीजिए, आज का दिन पे हमारा असम का जितना पब्लिक है, हर का दिमाग में ऐसा एक बात आया कि जितना डिफरेस्टेशन हुआ है, इसको फिर दोबारा हमारा लेना है। इसलिए हम लोग कोशिश में हूँ कि असम को जैसे बायोडाइवर्सिटी का क्षेत्र में एक अच्छा कंजर्वेशन करने का कोशिश करें, ये हम लोग का दिल में है।
As the evening sun sets in, we make the exit from the park amidst the completion of a journey which impressed us with the conservation efforts we witnessed firsthand in one of the remotest corners of the country in the beautiful biodiversity-rich state of Assam. There are a few promises to keep. To visit the park yet again, to keep the hope rekindled, to witness remarkable conservation efforts put in place, to help the system continue in right earnest in the future for the animals to sustain themselves, to energize the perfect ecosystem that is provided in the park. The impressive setting, however, continues to summon us. Orang National Park will forever be bold, beautiful, and beckoning.